Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the Chicken Box. I'm your host or co-host, Kevin Impeccable Peck. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be our neighbor, or should I say howdy? Why I said that? Nobody says that, but anyway, somebody in the world probably says it. Courtney, how you feeling today?
I'm great. It is 80 and sunny here in Chicago, so I'm blessed to be here and I'm ready to get this started.
This is the first time. This is my favorite part of the year. If you're gonna go to Chicago, I don't know if you've ever been to
Oh,
Chicago
yeah.
yet. I'm gonna go on a tangent for a second. Chicago's a beautiful city in the summer. and and spring. Look, if you've never tuned in, this is the Chicken Box powered by the Afro, Maryland's oldest black business, 131 years, and the third oldest black business in the country. Love to just share that with you because I think it's important that black business can survive that long and be an example and a model for others who are looking to start the business, go in business, who have been in business, who say, man, I don't know if I can make it. You can make it. Today's topic is black people versus organ donors. I don't know if we talk about it enough, but before, let me take a step back. You heard that the show is called The Chicken Box. If you're from Baltimore, you probably already know. It's four wings, it's fries, it's salt, pepper, ketchup, hot sauce, maybe a half and half, which means a half sweet and a half lemonade. You know, some parts of the world you say half and half, and they'll give you an unsweet tea. That's
Mm.
terrible. And the lemonade, and your face just turns into everything. But anyway, I digress. We're gonna go back to chicken boxes where you get to speak your truth about the topic, and it's our goal to inform, educate, and inspire you about something that you might not be thinking about. Courtney, we have a special guest today. Uh, coming. She's a alumni, alumni. I forgot the correct term of the chicken box. We've had her before. Let's welcome Lisa Spicknall back to the chicken box with a little. Oh, there she is. Pops up. I was hoping that the producer would give you some. Yeah, yeah. I love that. Anyway, Lisa, welcome back to the chicken box. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Donate Life Maryland. Courtney, why don't you just give a little introduction and then we will let Lisa loose.
Sure thing. Everyone, welcome Lisa Bicknall. She was a stay at home mom until circumstances in 1999 changed her life. In the 24 years since, Lisa's personal, professional, and volunteer experiences have touched thousands throughout the state of Maryland and the country. Lisa's professional experience as a victim advocate has included assisting victims of violent crimes as they navigate through the treacherous and difficult court process. Lisa has experience working with local and state agencies to enact peace orders and to provide critical training to staff on numerous topics, including domestic violence and death notification. Currently, Lisa is the executive director for Donate Life Maryland. She is a certified death notification trainer, as well as having extensive training in grief, trauma, and crisis response. Lisa also has two sons, Zachary and Liam.
Welcome again, Lisa, to the chicken box. How are you today? You good?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We are fantastic. We're talking about black people versus organ donors or donations. Do we do it as a whole? Have we thought about it? And have we thought about the impact if, in fact, we did decide to do it? So, Lisa, why don't you tell us kind of what? I mean, your story is, it goes in a lot of places. You kind of just give us a brief of how you ended up at Donate Life Maryland. I like to hear the backstory sometimes.
Absolutely. So I came to Donate Life from Mothers Against Drunk Driving, where I was for 15 years. I look at working with Donate Life and working with organ donation as just another way to save lives. One thing we don't talk about enough is organ donation and the process that goes along with that, and the potential for all the lives that can be saved when we do register as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. So that's kind of how I look at it. I work a lot with legislation. I work a lot with um, community education and outreach, really getting out there to share with the communities why it's so important to be organ donors.
Absolutely. I mean, you have so many great topics, Lisa. Uh, when I read your resume, that all of them are like have impact and matter. We're talking about organ donation, but I'm just talking about you as a person, just where you've been and where you've come through, and everybody, they will say that you go through things not for yourself, but really to help someone else. And it's important that whatever your trials that you do go through, that you're able to share, because it really helps someone else in the future. And I have someone in my family, what I'll talk about later, who was a recipient of an organ donation, which really prolonged and helped save their life. So you never know who you can help. So let's start there, since it's Black people versus organ donation. What actually is organ donation?
So, organ donation is the process of actually, after your death, donating your organs to a recipient who is in need. We base our in need process on health conditions, health issues, and doctors' determinations of who sits where and where they are on the list. But I think the biggest piece that everybody needs to realize is organ donation does save lives. We see currently we have about 115,000 people across the country on the organ donor waiting list, and we just don't have enough enough donors at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, I was, before the show started, just looking at your site, and it appears to be a lot of myths and misconceptions. And I like how your first page of your site, DonateLifeMaryland.org, if you put that up, Taryn, for us, it kills some of those myths. Like myth number one: an open casket funeral isn't an option for people who have donated organs or tissues.
And that's just not, that's not the case. We're very, very cautious when we do recover organs, when we do transplants. We want to make sure that if that's your wish, if that's, what the family wants or what the donor would like left in their last, last request, that is a possibility. When you do organ donation, it's very similar to a major surgery. So the body's not being, touched in any way or harmed in any way that an open casket funeral is not an option.
Yeah, as you said that, I was just thinking about it. You can't feel it anyway, right? You've gone away. You've gone on the rest to be with the Lord wherever you think you're going. So, and I've never been to a funeral where the body was naked. Never in my whole entire life. So even if in fact you did have something missing, the body's going to be clothed, and you probably, that probably wouldn't interfere. That was a good one. You can go there and read the myths. One of the other ones is, I'm too old to donate. Nobody will want my organs.
Mm-hmm. Not true. One of our oldest donors were in their, I'm going to say late 80s, early 90s. So, I've actually had people approach me with that question. I've had friends that say, well, I have an illness, so people aren't going to want my organs. That's not, they're just not going to want to have to deal with all the issues that I have. And my response was, people would rather live than worry about minor illnesses. A friend had, and I have permission to share this, she had Lyme's disease. She's like, nobody would want to live with Lyme's disease for the rest of their life. And I said, their alternative is not having a life. And she kind of stopped and she looked at me and she was like, well, I'm going to change my registration back to yes for an organ donor, because my thought process was no one would want to live with this illness. But I can see now that if my organs are able to be transplanted, then somebody would rather live that way.
Stop right there. I heard you say organ registration. Where does that occur?
So you can register in a couple ways. You can register on our website at register.donatelifemaryland.org. You can register at the Motor Vehicle Administration when you get your license or your ID card, when you renew. Actually, at any point in time at the MVA, you can go in and tell them if you're not an organ donor that you'd like to be a donor. There's no charge to change that registration. We do community events. You can register at our community events. And truly the easiest way is to just go on register.donatelifemaryland.org. You can register right now.
So is there donating? We have people from all over the country and over the world. Well, I'm not sure about the world, but the U.S. Do they have a Donate Life in every state, or is
We do. We have some sort of Donate Life in every state. So Donate Life America is our kind of overseeing entity. We are considered a state team of Donate Life America, so we work very closely with them in partnership to ensure that we're all on the same page, and our page is to register the most amount of organ, eye, and tissue donors that we can. Make sure that everybody's educated and makes that educated decision on registration. So all 50 states have some sort of Donate Life entity. It might not be called Donate Life, but we're doing all the same work. And it is nationwide, or worldwide. So we're not just here in the United States.
absolutely, guys? If you just tuned in, this is Black People versus Organ Donation. Are we thinking about it? Are we doing it? Do you know someone that's doing it? Put in the chat if you've done it, or you know someone that's done it, or if you never even the thought never crossed your mind, and it's just a simple thing of checking off at the MVA, or you can go right to the website and register that you want your organs to be donated. So why do we need these organs donated, Lisa?
Like I said a few minutes ago, there's about 115,000 people on the organ donor waiting list.
Ooh.
Those are people waiting for organ donations. Those are people with illnesses who are not going to get better unless they get a transplanted organ. That's the important part. One person, just one single person, can save up to 8 lives as an organ donor. One person.
One person can save 8?
8 lives.
Okay, well, stop right there. What kind of organs are getting donated here?
We can take just about everything. The only organ that's not transplantable is your brain, but every other organ in your body is. So if you think about that, hearts, lungs, kidneys, livers. We also do skin grafts, so skin donation. That enhances up to 75 lives when you think about burn victims or victims who have skin injuries that need a graft to heal. Surprisingly, if you ask around, you will find more people that have had some type of skin graft after surgery than not. It will shock you how many people that you come across and actually know that have had some kind of skin transplant.
Courtney, what's going through your mind? Have you thought about this ever? We're a multi-generational show, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Gen X. I don't know where you fit into the world.
I'm right there with you.
Okay, we rule the world. Anyway, but Courtney's Gen Z. Has this topic ever crossed your mind before, Courtney?
It has, but I just never got around to it. Like, I've considered it, but the thought of me, like, I guess passing before my time kind of like freaked me out. So I'm just like, I'm prolonging it because I don't want to have that mindset. Like, I know it's going to happen one day, but I'm kind of like in denial about it right now. So it just like freaks me out.
and I guess you don't have to be young to think like that, but then when you think of the other side, what Lisa said, the skin donation can help 75 people?
75 people.
And just checking that you're an organ donor can help 7 to 8 people, you said?
Yeah, 8 people.
8 people. So
8 people.
So you just divide 7 by or 8 by 115, right. And we don't need that many people, right. To help the people who
sadly
need it.
We do though. The issue that we have is only 1% of deaths are able to be organ donors. So it's a very narrow, limited window on how you can be an organ donor. The 2 qualifiers are brain death and death by cardiac event. So those are the only 2 ways that you can really become an organ donor. And not everybody dies.
Even if you check it,
it doesn't necessarily mean.
Lord have mercy. So, hey, you can check it, and it's like a 99% chance they won't use you.
and that's the truth. I mean, they're only the 2 viable options because as soon as your body dies, your organs start to shut down. Your organs start to die. So the only way to really ensure that we are using viable organs is by ensuring that these are the two ways that people die. When your brain dies, your body's still alive. It hasn't quite caught up with the fact that your brain's dead. So there still is the option to keep you alive by machines, by pumps, by keeping your body alive. Death by cardiac event is if you have a heart attack, generally it's in the hospital, or if they're able to get to you very quickly and start CPR immediately. But as soon as you die, your organs start to shut down and you start to die.
So what about the skin, Lisa?
Skin's a little different. So the skin doesn't die as quickly as the body. So we are able to use skin much longer. Okay, so that is more of an option.
Check it, and they might not use your organs, but
correct.
You still might be able to use the skin.
Yep.
For burn victims and things of that nature. People who need skin grafts.
Yep.
I know
there's another option as well.
After a while, wait a minute, are we having this conversation? But yes, this is the conversation that needs to be had, at least for the information. You know, and if you've never shared and you were popping up on your thread, hit the share button, share with somebody. Somebody needs to hear it. Somebody has received an organ donation, and they're grateful and thankful for those who decided to check their status that they would be organ donors. Believe me, the people, I mean, they might not get a chance to say thank you to you because you passed away, but they are thankful and grateful that somebody thought beyond themselves to check the box for organ donation. Whether or not they're going to be able to use your organs or not, checking the box could save a life today. Wow. Anyway, Lisa, we know how to register by checking off. What are some of the things that we should know as organ donors? Is there anything else we should know, or is it just kind of like in your heart you just feel that you should do this to help somebody else?
I believe it is. I believe it's a personal choice, a personal decision. You know, when I first started working here, I have two boys, Courtney's age range. So they were really funny about it. They were like, my oldest son, he's a diabetic, and he's like, nobody's going to want any of my stuff. They're not going to. And I'm like, no, actually think about it. So we had long conversations about it. My youngest son just graduated high school this year. And he got to intern with our organ procurement organization last summer and just learned so much from that process, and really embraces the idea of organ donation and helping people and getting out there and making sure that, you know, when we think about the myths and misconceptions of organ donation, that we can quash those and make sure people know the truth. I think one of the biggest myths and misconceptions out there are, you know, rich and famous people go to the top of the list because they have more money, and, you know, white people get organs before African Americans, or things of that nature, and that's not the truth.
So how does the pecking order work?
The pecking order is set by the doctors. It depends on how sick you are. Of course, those who are the sickest, those who are, you know, not going to make it, who are going to die sooner, are at the top of the list. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, blue, green, or orange. They don't care. Then there's comparisons when there's a recipient, someone has passed away and they're donating their organs. Then there's the comparisons, your height, your weight, your blood type, all those genetic markers that need to match to make sure that when we transplant those organs, that you're not going to turn around and die in 30, 60, 90 days because your organs malfunction, or they don't match, or they fail, or any of those.
So they have the technology to know the stats of who this organ comes from, one, and then what is the perfect fit for the person receiving a donation.
For the recipient, correct.
Well, Courtney, jump in.
Yeah, so I'm curious about this because you mentioned like pretty much like anybody can donate. Like, let's say you have like diabetes or something. But are there any restrictions to being an organ donor, like age or having an illness like liver disease, kidney disease, or like HIV?
So there are less restrictions than you think. Cancer is a pretty big rule out depending, but again, the organs are all tested, everything, it goes through a serious process of whether or not the organs are usable. And that's what people look at. That's what the doctors look at. That's what the families look at. They're not going to turn down organs just because you have an illness, just because HIV positive isn't even an issue anymore. They've worked on that. That was a few years ago, prior to me starting with Donate Life, that was an issue, and it's an issue that's been overcome. So there really aren't a lot of restrictions, and any time organs are turned down, it's based on the doctors testing the organs and determining functionality and what's viable.
So when you check the organ list, by the way, if you just came in, this is Black People Versus Organ Donation. What do we think about it? Are we doing it? Have we ever thought about it? If not, we have Lisa Spicknell from Donate Life Maryland, who is here just clearing up some of these myths and misconceptions, and also urging us to think about just checking the box, if it's a box or or whatever you check to say that you would be an organ donor. So does it matter? Like I heard you say, it doesn't matter what color you are, and we talked about the pecking order on how you, because our brother-in-law, me and my wife's brother, needed a liver transplant, and he was number 14 on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So so that means they went through 13 other people who either didn't answer the phone or weren't available when they called. And this will tie into Taryn's question about, is there a list for the whole country or for each state? And then how far can a organ travel to help somebody out? So
there is a list for the whole country, and then there's lists for individual states. Organs, your heart and lungs are going to be your shortest option. So they're going to be the closest. I think the farthest that we go is upstate New York, and then probably Southern Virginia down into North Carolina for heart and lungs. Your kidneys can go a whole lot farther. They're up to about 48 hours. So it all depends on how long the organ can function once it's been removed from the body.
Got you. So if you're on the list, the person passes away, they check and see if it's the list, and then immediately if it is a donor, they go and they test. So who does all this testing?
So all of this, the testing is done by the specific transplant hospitals, and then the list is held by UNOS, so United Network for Organ Sharing. So they hold the list, and they make the determination on, the doctors make the determination on who sits on the list, and then UNOS will make they send out to the organ procurement organizations of where the organs are going to go.
All right. So I'm just trying to think of, like, when a person dies, the different funeral homes will come get the body typically, but on the organ donation situation, that person has to go where?
When they're an organ donor, generally the death occurs in a hospital.
Okay.
So you will be in the hospital. The hospital personnel will reach out to our organ procurement organizations, who are the ones that work with the doctors to do the transplants and make all those tests, to do everything. And the hospital's already doing those tests. So when they're working on you, they're already doing certain tests, because those are standard tests that they do.
Got you. So is that already a section in the hospital, or did they have to move the body?
Nope. It all stays in the same area. Generally, when you're that critical, you're in the ICU or in one of those high critical areas. So everything is happening right there. When there is even the likelihood that someone's not going to make it, they reach out to our organ procurement organization, which in Maryland, it's Infinite Legacy. They will then reach out to our family services team and have the family services team come and talk to the family, whether they're a registered donor or not, and just see, because maybe like Courtney, you know, she's thought about it, she's kind of shared it, but she hasn't quite checked that box yet because she's not ready to, but said to her family, this is something that I'm considering. It would be then in her family's choice to say yes or no, she wants to be an organ donor. And then, go ahead.
No, I said absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting it clear. Rose just tuned in and she said, so if you have diabetes, can you donate? Pretty much, I think is her question.
Yep, you can go on the list. You can, and then the doctors will take a look at all your organs and see what they can and can't use.
Yep. And Rose, I don't know if you just tuned in, but they said only 1% of people who even select to have their organs donated are chosen just because of the time that the body shuts down, and those organs aren't, in a lot of cases, able to be used. Am I right, Lisa?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm feeling like a grief specialist myself today. I know. Don't like to talk about these things. We don't like to talk. I mean, it's like, wow. It's like, it feels morbid, but, you know, we got to talk about it, people. We can't just ignore it, just like life insurance and all this other stuff that we hear about and know about, but we have to at least, you know, when you know better, you can do better.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean? Again, but when you see the upside of, if you are in that 1%, of how you can help somebody. Now can a white liver go into a black person?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But those are viable questions. Those are
right.
Really
good
questions. People don't know, right? Now, it depends on so I pass away and impeccable, you need my heart. Absolutely. If we match, if we're the same blood type, or if we're close enough that it's going to work, absolutely.
So color is really not a thing, y'all. We just make it too much of a thing in between the two communities. And when you peel back the skin, we all blood, bones, we got the same hearts. we can interchange these organs.
My biggest joke that I always share, and I get a chuckle out of it, you're not going to see Shaquille O'Neal donate his lungs to Kevin Hart. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen.
So what? So listen, I might have missed this in biology in high school, but so all of these organs are different sizes, or they?
Mm-hmm. Your organs fit your body.
Your organs fit your body. God is crazy. God got everything worked out right. But you getting this little heart.
Right. And you think about it, you know, you're not going to put a full-size heart into a 2-year-old baby.
Right. Absolutely.
It's not going to fit. It's not going to work. You're really going to make sure that when we're looking at it, we're making sure we have the best sizes, the best fits, the best. Now, we can do portions of lungs. It doesn't have to be a full lung lobe. So maybe, you know what? Maybe Shaq's lung does go into Kevin Hart. It might still be a little tall.
Man, I need to brush up on my organs. It's like, wait a minute, you can do a portion of a lung? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they do? Shave it and shape it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Barbara, thanks for tuning in. We were talking earlier. Taryn, pull up that website for Donate Life Maryland, and we're going over a couple of the myths that are just, you know, the ones I guess that are repeated over and over again. And then Lisa was bringing up some, and I don't know, Barbara, if you have a myth that you heard or that you're thinking about, put it in the chat and we'll see if we can get it answered.
You know, I'll give you a great myth that I had was first responders aren't going to save me. And that was a whole reason that I was still an organ donor, but I never had a heart on my license.
Oh, okay. So when you register and put it on your license, you say organ donor, and then you check the organs, or?
Then, so my belief was, okay, they're going to look at my license and they're going to see it. I'm an organ donor, and they're not going to work as hard to save me. And that's just not true. And I should know better because I come from a family of first responders. and I should know better. First and foremost, your first responders, your doctors, they're not looking at your license. They have no idea that you're an organ donor. They have no idea, not until we're called in. So
Right.
that it's a great way to get on the list. It's a great way if anybody asks, like you can show that your little black card on your license is you're an organ donor. It's all there, but nobody checks that until it's on us. And not to mention, just because it's on your license doesn't mean you're still an active donor. You could have changed your registration and just not gotten a new license. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, it's like you throw things in your wallet, you throw things in your card. Well, maybe I had something from 10 years ago still in there and it just doesn't apply anymore.
Right.
So yeah.
I'm sure, Lisa, you know, there's somebody who's going to be out there who's going to come up with something, some new tech that when they just scan a QR code on your car, all the information is going to pop up.
Right.
You know, you're not even going to need a physical license. I'm sure we're moving to that. Anyway, if I gave somebody an idea, I'll give you that one for free. You can solve that problem. Anyway, Barbara, thanks for your question. Miriam says we often hear body has. Let me see what the question. I already said get my glasses on. I got it on. We often hear the body has been donated to the state. Are they? What are they considered?
So you can be an organ donor and then also donate your body to the State Anatomy Board. The State Anatomy Board trains the doctors, so they use your body to do that kind of training. If you are just strictly donating your body to the State Anatomy Board, then no, it's not considered for organ donation. But if you are registered for both, then what we do is the organ donation comes first, and then the body's then turned over to the State Anatomy Board.
The doctors have to.
Body. I feel like that's so cold. The person is then turned over to the State Anatomy Board.
Yeah. I guess the doctors practice and then they go into practice.
Right. Yeah. We all have to learn hands-on, right? In some way, there's hands-on.
They're still practicing. Can people of all religions participate?
Yes, absolutely. And if you have any questions whatsoever, she's putting up my very good friend's son's story. So I'm sorry, it took me by surprise there. Anybody can donate. Any religion can participate. And if you have any questions, please go speak to the head of your religion. That's what I always tell everyone. We will work with the family to ensure that if a donation has to happen quickly, that it can, in order to have a funeral within 24 hours. We will do everything we can, and we do this all the time. So we really do work with the families to make sure that we're meeting all your religious requirements. And, you know, one of the greatest gifts you can give is organ donation, is saving lives.
Absolutely. So, sometimes you got to be a little unselfish, guys. You're not going to feel it, believe me. You're not going to feel any of it. But the person who you donate your organs for will be grateful for the time that they get to extend their life here on earth, because everybody's going to pass away. It's just when, and sometimes an organ donation helps a person get a chance to spend some more quality time here while they have the time, because none of us know the time. So if we had the time, we would be avoiding it like the plague, right? But don't know, so it's going to happen. If you just tuned in, this is Black People versus Organ Donation, and we have special guest Lisa Spicknell on from Donate Life for Maryland, and we're here at the Chicken Box. If you've never seen us before, we just like to inform the community, the African American community, about everything. We're not set with one topic. Every week is going to be something different. It feels like, you know, you feel a little icky to talk about it, but it's got to be talked about. You know what I mean? It's got to at least be thought about. And if you are a person who received or organ donation, you are thankful that these conversations are had. And we discovered that it doesn't matter your color. It doesn't matter, like, you know, like you can be of Hispanic descent and your organ can go into a white person. A white person can put it into an Asian. Long as genetically or whatever that you said all of the vitals match up, the height and the way that that particular organ can support their body type, then you can be helped. You know, I remember a long time ago, I had a friend who used to use his religion for everything. He said, "It's against my religion to clean my room." I'm like, "Is that right? Is that still working?" You know.
You know, we
So,
say organ donation is the ultimate gift of charity. And
absolutely.
what do most religions push is the charity.
Yeah.
This is
And
the
love.
ultimate act of charity.
Charity and love, y'all.
That's right.
Man, thank you for tuning in to the chicken box. I was going to say I don't want to be the dead horse, but you know, with Lisa's had an interesting life. Now, do you want to share any other parts? So, like, let's see, what does it mean that you're a certified deaf
Death
notification
notification.
trainer? Yeah.
So I train law enforcement, I train clergy, I train doctors, nurses, anybody that wants to listen on how to conduct a proper death notification, on how to tell a family that their loved one has died.
Mm.
Tough topic, another very, very
You go,
difficult
Lisa.
topic.
You the tough topic cookie. I'm telling you, that should be your handle. Tough topic.
Yeah, another tough topic, but a topic that needs to be discussed as well. You know, especially in cases like this, you know, when we're working with organ donation, we're also working with death notification. So we're really out there, and even though people know, even though by the time we reach conversation with that family, they already know that their loved one's brain dead or that their loved one's not going to be able to come back. But sometimes, just sometimes, when we have those conversations, it still hasn't sunk in yet. So we are becoming the notifier of death. We are telling them and talking to them and really making it hit home that their loved one's not going to wake up. So using the right words, making sure that we're very clear, very concise, very using death, using died, using their name. You know, I told you saying body drives me crazy. It's one of those words because they're not a body, they're a person. They're our mother, father, sister, brother, child. They're our loved one, their friends, family. They have a name, they have a life. And really making sure that we're honoring that person by using those words is one of the best things that we can do to help a family in the journey they're about to take, in that grief journey.
Man, Lisa, that's amazing. I mean, you kind of think everybody should just take a course because I think everybody at some point in their life has to tell somebody else that somebody else has gone on or has died or passed away, whatever the term that fits you best. But do you find it that it's as hard to tell everybody, or are children a little harder or different to talk to?
I think children are really resilient. I can give you a great example. When I had to tell my two boys that their my grandmother died, it was probably one of the toughest things that I've done as a parent. Just really sitting down with them and having that conversation. And she had been sick for years. It was something we had known was coming, known was going to happen, but you never know the when. So just sitting down with them, having that conversation, and they were so close to their great grandmother. So making sure that they understood and using those words to make sure we know that they understand. So not using these, you know, tough words for small kids to get and to understand. But then I will say, you know, one of the hardest notifications that I've ever made is to a parent about losing their child. So, you know, we kind of joke, you know, I get these big burly law enforcement officers who are like, I can do this, it's fine, I have this. And then I've watched them crumble because they relate so closely with a case that they've worked. They have a child that same age, or their, you know, sisters, just some connection. But they always tell me, you know, Lisa, it's amazing because moms know. Moms know when we knock on that door immediately. Dads aren't quite the smartest sometimes. They kind of look at you a little bit, and they're just not quite there.
We don't want to believe it at all. We like
exactly. Where moms, you don't even have to get the words out, and they know. So just really making sure that we use the right words for whomever we're talking to. And one of my biggest pet peeves, because we are so multicultural here and we don't all speak the same language, but using a child to translate that notification is the biggest no-no, because you are immediately bereaving that child before the parent has the opportunity to know what's happened.
So that you would say, as a grief counselor, always tell the parent first.
Absolutely. You
Good.
have to find someone that speaks their language, that speaks their dialect, to make sure that they're understanding what you're saying. Because immediately, if you're telling them that you knock on a door, or you go to a door and you're telling a wife their husband's been killed, but you're using that child to translate, you're telling them that their father's dead before the mom even knows. And expecting that child to translate to that family.
Yeah, that never works.
No.
That's great advice. I don't know if anybody else got that, but put the thumbs up if not. You can look up grief counseling, and you might have never thought about these things, guys. This is Black People versus Organ Donation, and of course, you have to be deceased or to donate your organs most of the time, right? Unless
unless you're a living donor. Yep, there's a couple
unless
organs that we can do.
unless you're a living donor, which is exceptions of what organs are for living donors again?
Kidneys.
Kidneys on is that kidneys?
Yep.
Okay, kidneys only for living donors, because we have 2 of those.
Correct.
And we can function.
And actually, you know what? That's a partial. You can do a partial liver too. So, but kidneys are the big one currently.
Kidneys are the big one. Okay.
Now, here's a question: how often do your families talk about organ donation?
0.
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking about it today, Lisa. That's why we thought it not robbery to have you on the chicken box again, because I think everybody needs to be reminded, because there's somebody new who's going to see this information today who has never thought about it. And guys, if you can, just check it off. There's only 1% chance that you're going to be used. But that 1% chance could save somebody's life. I know the number, like that 1% is like crazy. But how many people don't? There's a statistic that said don't check the organ donor. What's the percentage of people who do register?
Currently, right now, about half of the U.S. population are registered organ donors, although almost 80% believe in organ donation.
So they just haven't checked it.
Mm-hmm. They just haven't checked the box yet.
Okay. so hey, so that's good. That's a great number. If 80% of the people in America believe, or in the world, I don't know, believe in organ donation, and 50% have already said okay by checking the box, and that's
and we do, we do need to discuss being a donor with our family. We need to make sure that they know what our wishes are and that they're prepared to honor those wishes. When children go into the MVA, I say children, when teenagers go into the MVA to get their learner's permit, they can check to be an organ donor at 15 and 9 months. They can make that decision. Ultimately, it is up to their parent until they're 18. But if you as a teen make that decision and that's what you want to do, just like us as adults, if I say, I want to be an organ donor, but I'm not comfortable like registering, I'm just not there yet, but that's what I want to do. If my family doesn't know that, they can come back and say, we've never talked about that, so we're not going to do it.
Gotcha.
So we just need to make sure that our family's aware of our wishes. We have a board member whose sister passed away, and they had no idea she was registered as an organ donor. They knew nothing about organ donation until their sister died, and they found out she was a registered organ donor.
So does it make some families upset when they find this out?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow. But then, it is, once you register as an organ donor, it is a legal decision. So we do uphold the legal decisions to be an organ donor. but we work with the families closely to understand, to make sure that they understand why that person could have made that choice, and make sure that they're, we don't want a family coming back and feeling like we've taken something from them. So we really just want to make sure that they understand those decisions and understand that their loved one can save up to 8 lives. And those 8 lives take away from that 115,000 on the waiting list.
Right, because allegedly our bodies just house this wonderful spirit, and the body just gets either cremated or buried, and it deteriorates, and your spirit is the one that leaves. So for real, there shouldn't be no feelings about it. It should be like, that old body, I'm getting a new one anyway. Later for that old body.
Just here in Maryland, we currently have 2,300 people on a waiting list for organ donation.
What?
So 2,356 Marylanders, as of right this second today, are waiting for organ donations.
Courtney, what you thinking about?
So I'm curious about this. Lisa, you mentioned like pretty much it doesn't matter like what race you are, if your organs are compatible. So like you mentioned blood type. Like how can people find out their blood type to, like speed up that process?
So you can easily go to your primary care doctor and have your blood typed. Simple as that. Yep. Really easy. And we should all know our blood type. I'm guilty. I don't know my blood type. I should.
We need a show on that, Black people versus blood type, because I can tell you probably had 100 physicals, not 100, but enough to have blood drawn. And I never asked them at the doctor, hey, what's my blood type again? I forget that question every time. I just try to act like they're not sticking me with the needle. But they really are sticking me with the needle and talking to me and chewing gum. I'm like, you do this a lot, don't you? Yes, I do.
and Taryn just said, if you donate blood, they'll tell you your type and give you a card. I probably need like 5 cards because I lose them.
You probably can just call your doctor's office too.
Yeah.
Courtney, and they should know your blood type.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's the one. Man, for $1 million, do you know your blood type? All right. Who knows? Listen, this is the Chicken Box. We've been talking about Black people versus organ donation, which can be kind of a topic that we don't like to talk about. So we try to laugh it up so we don't leave on a note of talking about death, because nobody really likes to talk about that unless you're a mortician. I don't think they really like to talk about it, but that's their business. So I'm sure it doesn't bother them at all to talk about it. But Taryn gets the $1 million. She's old. Is that O positive? I think
Taryn's 0. Universal. Taryn is a much sought after blood donor.
Oh well, you need to give blood once a week, Taryn. Oh my goodness! So where has the time flown, guys? Listen, Donate Life for Maryland. If you're not in Maryland, go to Donate Life America and see where you can make a difference. And one is just by checking to register. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. You won't feel a thing if you donated. Believe me, they can still put a nice suit and dress on you. You can have an open casket if that was your desire or your wishes or whatever your other wishes to be. If you're being cremated, definitely donate all your organs, because just believe me, they're definitely not going to be seen again. So somebody can use them. So we're gonna get on the box real quick. Courtney, let's get on the box. Final words for today's topic: Black people versus organ donation.
Yeah, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you on and meeting you as well. I love that you're advocating for organ donation and spreading awareness about it, because I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about it. I've heard it in my family. I've seen it on social media, and a lot of people are just like afraid to do it. So thank you so much for like just spreading awareness on it. And I also encourage other people to sign up. You can be a match for someone and make a difference in someone's life, like Impeccable has said. And I'm off.
Absolutely. I'll jump on the box. People, listen. You're not going to feel a thing if you decide to check that box. And it's only 1% chance that they're going to use your organs anyway, which blows my mind. So the percentage of chance of them not using your organs, which you won't feel that they're using them, is very slim. but the impact that you're going to have on someone else's life if they are able to use your organs is monumental. And so as you see that box come up at the MVA, or if you say, hey, you know what, I want to just be an organ donor, go to Donate Life right now, Maryland, or Donate Life America, and just register. Takes a few seconds. You can check all the boxes. Believe me, you're not going to feel nothing. Don't worry about if you sick, or they said they take all the organs and they're going to do a match anyway. So if they match, boom. If it doesn't match, but you need more people donating so that you can get the match. Right, Lisa?
Right. That's exactly it. We
Opposed
need
to
more registered organ donors than
right.
less.
And since 80% have the belief,
Mhm.
you might as well come on and get that 50% number close
That's
to
right.
100% number. And that's what Donate Life Maryland's all about. And we thank you for the work you're doing. And thank you for coming on to the Chicken Box, because we needed to hear it. Even though we didn't think we needed to hear it today, but we did need to hear it. Lisa, I'll give the final words to you. And thank you for all you're doing at Donate Life Maryland.
Thank you. And it's great to be here. And I really love coming on and having great conversations with you. I love being on the Chicken Box. I think it's a great platform to really get the word out there and to really talk about those difficult conversations and that difficult topic of organ donation and of death. I mean, we all know it's coming. We all know we're going to face it. The only thing I can ask is you really go to register.donatelifemaryland.org and register today. We really, really hope that we've overcome some of the myths and misconceptions. If you have more, you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to us on Facebook at Donate Life Maryland, and I will happily answer any questions that you have. Thank you again for having me, and I really, really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thanks again for tuning in. Of course, this is the Chicken Box powered by, yes, Maryland's oldest 131-year-old Black business. I mean, we cover a lot of businesses at 131 years in Maryland, but go to afro.com and get a subscription. It doesn't cost you much, less than 2 Uber Eats, and if you still want the physical paper, it's $100 for the whole year. Divide that by 52 and whatever that number is. It's a small amount to keep a entity that has been around for 131 years, just bringing you information like this that's impactful and special to your community. We like to say we bring the good news because it's enough bad news out there. And of course, I say call a senior. They are looking to hear from you. Don't text them. Call them with a smile. You know, you can tell when a person. Can you tell when a person's smiling on the phone even though you can't see them?
Yes, you
That
can.
smile will just carry you out through the day. At least you have a neat desk.
Thank you.
Your desk is organized. Either you got it together for the show or you got your stuff together. I love it.
I want to show you all the stuff under the desk. It's okay.
Hey, listen. I'm in a hotel room, so I know what you mean. I see everything on the floor. I'm like, they're seeing the bed in the background. It's not my bed, but anyway. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time, God willing, we hope to see you here on the Chicken Box for another impactful conversation. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.